Welcome back to Forge of Champions. It is the last game of this evening. Twitter Randoms versus Diabolus, tied 1 apiece. We'll have to find out which one will be able to take it to go up against XL next week. Tig, your name?
Jake.
Jake.
Wow.
Oh,
not the only Twitter random around here, is he?
I was
What a good start to the broadcast.
For me, what is it?
See right there?
Hip brain.
Hip brain. There you go.
Hip brain. The issue was my head was saying, like, I had both your names in my head and I couldn't figure out which one I'd called him.
I didn't give you my middle name, so I don't know how you got that.
No, like as in hip
Jake
brain.
and hip brain, I believe. Through my extensive analysis of what he was talking about, I deduced this.
Oh, okay, cool.
To do something else for me, Tig.
It's been a long evening.
What do Twitter Randoms do in this game?
Play better.
Play better? Is that it?
No,
Play better,
I mean,
draft better?
I think, yeah, a lot
Stronger,
of
faster, harder, stronger? I said stronger twice. What's the other
You
one?
did.
Better?
Harder,
No?
faster, stronger.
Harder, better, faster, stronger.
Yep.
Yeah. Basically, what they need to do, I think they've gone for a lot of comfort picks, and that's fine. Diabolus seem to be outplaying them just outright.
Yep.
So I think comfort's fine. Now pick something funny and see if it works. I remember I did this before the
You
tournament.
really
We were
want
just,
Heimer to be picked, don't you?
go like
He's funny.
Vagar Zillion or something. Go crazy with it. Why not?
I mean, the first game was definitely Diabolus falling to Twitter Randoms kind of and like playing to their pace.
Right. Yeah.
The other, it was completely the opposite in the second game. Like Diabolus had complete control of the game. They all looked a lot stronger. They looked like they were playing on the same page once again. And it felt like Twitter Randoms were the team not on the same page, which in game 1 at the end of it, I said, wow, this team are just like one well-oiled machine, but it looks like that wasn't actually the case. What I do think is Diabolus still will have questions coming out after this series. You know, they shouldn't have, this should have been a 2-0 on paper. You look at it and go 2-0 to Diabolus. You know, they won the last tournament. So question is, are they going to be able to close this out cleanly?
I mean, fun fact. Twitter Randoms in the round of 16 against, would have been Wyndham, no, it would have been, it was Barrage.
Yeah.
Won game 1 on red side, lost game 2 on blue side, won game 3 on red side.
Red side is arguably the stronger side at the moment.
It's especially when there's a lot of good bot lane picks up. Like you can get Zyra Khan, you can get Braum Lucian, things like that. Which is why we actually saw previously today that we saw Braum and Rakan first pick in different games.
I mean, with red side you get 2 priority picks in the first pick phase, and then you also get first pick in phase 2, and you also get counter pick in phase 2.
Yeah.
Interestingly
you get so
enough
many
as well,
picks.
game 1, I'm pretty sure of their match against Barrage was like a 30-minute and a half, roughly the same as the game 1 this one. Game 2, the one they lost, was a 27-minute game. I'm pretty sure Diabolus won around 28 minutes this in the previous one.
Yeah.
I mean,
here's a really history repeats itself kind of idea.
I mean, it makes sense because it clearly shows that Twitter Randoms have a pace that they follow. You know, they like to scale into the late game. Clearly, they pick these late game scaling compositions, or usually they do, and they're able to execute, if not messily, towards that moment when they are scaled.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. They've moved away from the Tristana they were picking throughout the tournament towards this Varus.
Yep.
I prefer Varus. I think it offers a bit more engage. It has a bit more damage earlier in the game. But the biggest issue is just I think he's playing well. He's positioning as well as he can. But maybe the extra range of Tristana in the mid game might help him. It's really hard to say. I think it all comes off the early game control that Diabolus have had in game 2.
I mean, we're going to jump into picks and bans here in just a second, Jake. Do you
Remember
feel like this Anivia pick is worthwhile, the pressure that they're putting onto it?
I actually don't think the Anivia has been massively standout, if I'm going to be honest with you. It's not been the worst. Like game 1, he had a very good game. Like he was resigned to wave clear duty, and he was also a distraction. His walls are very, very good.
Right.
I can't take that away from him. Bendix's walls have been insane.
And now he can't play it?
It's banned.
Yeah.
Good. I want to see what he's capable of playing, because there are more options. Like,
I mean, Galio and Oriana are his other picks that he's turned to in times.
I was going to say, it's Ori's very good in
Oriana.
these team fight situations.
Yep.
Galio again as well, especially if you're playing only Angel and Skedden as like a duo once again. Suddenly you got a Galio, and it makes diving a lot more like of a real kind of capability, a lot more threatening for the side of Diabolus to deal with. I like the fact they're banning out the Zoe as well, and the Kai'Sa. You don't want the funnel, but Mundo has been consistently banned out, and we also saw Twitter Randoms forced to ban the Aatrox, who does very well into the Mundo.
Right.
So instantly picked that up.
I think the big thing here is Mundo's really good into a lot of consistent magic damage dealers like Anivia. So with that gone, maybe it's not such a big deal that you lost it. Mundo could still just go crazy at the split push though, so...
I mean, you've got the old favourite of Only Angel and the rest of the UK scene, the Urgot is a potential here.
Jace is something that they've been looking in Camille as well, so...
Okay, well that's one way to deal with Mundo.
Yeah.
Subjugate and Camille jump on top of him, pin him in the baby cage.
Kill him before he heals.
Yeah, so I expect to see an early Executioner's Calling by Only Angel on this Camille. But DIABOLUS, in response, I mean, they got the Mundo, and then they get just an insanely powerful bot lane duo.
Right.
So, I mean, you get, like, Twitter Randoms, they picked very well into the Mundo, but now they've kind of given up a lot for it as well.
I feel like we're likely to see Tristana come out if they feel like that's an influential pick for them. It has been banned against them in the last couple of drafts. Janna, they're sticking to their guns. That means Tristana, and you would expect Varus potentially banned here.
I'm glad they're back counter-picking mid, sorry. Because Bendix has obviously been picking Anivia, and then they've just picked an assassin to deal with him, whether it be the Talon, whether it be the Zoe. That's just how they dealt with it. So now we're going to see Zeph have to pick blind pick, which he hasn't done all series. So this now gives a bit more room to Bendix.
I mean, Zeph historically has been blind picking his mid laners throughout the tournament. So I don't feel like this is something that he's too worried about. Even on red side, he's been blind picking to allow Flaxish to have that counter pick in the top lane. And so I'll be really interested to see where he goes due to the fact that Sol's banned, Zoe's banned, Talia's banned. I expect a Ryze ban to come out next from the side of Twitter Randoms. Nope, they decide to stick to Nocturne. So that means that Ryze is open. It means the Orianna is open. The Galio could be potentially contested between these two mid laners.
I think it's better you leave the counter pick mid anyway.
Yep.
Yeah, it has to be Tristana because Varus and Ezreal are banned, so that's nice and easy for them to pick up. I mean, you couldn't give over the Nocturne. I'm amazed Talia made it so far through the picks and ban phase, but I guess, like, Mundo's so good in top, and, like, Braum Lucian is also just so good. Like, you don't really want to give up that just for the Nocturne.
And Skedden just wasn't as comfortable on the Talia. Better to move to the Trundle that you're better on. And Graves is totally fine for NG as well. I think it does very similar things to the Talia.
But Graves is a pretty decent matchup in Trundle, if I remember right.
Not particularly good either way. Like, I mean, Trundle can actually fight him early.
Yeah.
So it's not so bad. But you have to actually get them first. Graves isn't the highest range champion in the world, though.
Well, we are going to see, obviously, the Ryze. Yeah, so the Ryze Graves is going to be the pick for DIABOLUS. They've rounded out their comp. They're actually looking to have a very nice little team comp rounded out here.
Yep.
Twitter Randoms, their mid, I think, makes or breaks this composition.
So I feel like we're looking at a Galio or an Orianna due to the fact that we haven't really seen much variation from Bendix so far. Orianna gets locked in here. Relatively simple composition. This is something that they ran multiple times. The Camille Trundle, Orianna, Tristana, Janna is kind of a trademark composition. If you were to do your prep on them, you would expect that these champions get pulled out more than
I would actually rather the Galio, because the way Camille's ult interacts with Galio is just like, you're guaranteed to land that knock-up, you're guaranteed to land that CC, and then you basically pin them in a 1v1 cage, where Galio gives you stats, and you're like, oh man, I don't know how this is going to go, and then suddenly Galio enters the 1v1 cage, and you're in a 2v1 cage.
The biggest issue is I don't think Twitter Randoms want to go for those consistent picks, because you've got things like Tristana and now obviously Orianna as well. They prefer to 5v5, and Camille in this case is just, we want her on the split push. We don't really want to actually have to go to deal with her ourselves.
And one of the things also about the DIABOLUS comp this time is they're actually not the ones with the hard engage comp. They're not the ones forcing, when all of the other two games we've seen them hard force. This time it's actually on Twitter Randoms. They've got the Camille who can enter into the fight. The Orianna's going to be very big in the fight with a Shockwave as well. You know, if we see some of these 4 or 5 man Shockwaves, what we've been seeing out of Shockwave on M&M land, suddenly Twitter Randoms can start to run away the fight, because as you move later again, they're looking into scaling. Like, Orianna's able to one-shot people. Tristana, late game, is just a beast, especially with the Janna.
Right.
I feel like we just have an issue with game 2 though, where we were like, well, if they scale, it's going to be great.
Yeah, obviously.
I mean,
but there's less hard engage. The reason why they never got to late game was because there was so much hard engage, and Only Angel was also kept under
part
wraps.
of it. And I think,
I feel like Twitter Randoms have shown that they can win early. Like, game 1 was them just winning early. Yes, disrespect coming out of DIABOLUS. However, if Twitter randoms are able to execute, then they do just win early. The thing that DIABOLUS have had in their favor throughout the tournament are strong winning lanes. And I feel like there's the potential for that to be changed if Twitter randoms play well. So far, Bendix in the mid lane has held Zeph off pretty well. You know, Zoe's hard to deal with, especially when she starts to get fed. At that point, I think she was 2-0, and then you get the kill come through due to a good roam from Flaxish. It's Mundo versus Camille. Only Angel has shown that his ability to play carry champions is just incredible. So I'm really excited to see if he can hold off. Again, you just have to be concerned due to the fact that, and they haven't really been pulling this trigger yet, DIABOLUS do sometimes fall back to this this roaming that's just getting top all the time. But
yeah, I mean, you've got things like Camille Trundle. You could definitely be roaming yourselves.
Yep.
It's all about, look, DIABOLUS are the established org. They're the ones that we expect to have the better team play. By game 2, it looks like they've definitely established themselves in that regard. Can Twitter randoms somehow turn around to that?
Yeah, no, I think I want to hear from the Twitter randoms. Hashtag Forge of Champions 2. Anyone who has a thought on this game, get on over there.
Or random thoughts. We still take questions.
I didn't check.
We're still fielding questions.
I would love it.
You check in the break.
I mean, I think it's better. I think, you know, we're coming into game 3. Let's, you know, round out the show with some questions. I think that's fine.
Make sure you do hit us up with that Forge of Champions 2 hashtag on Twitter. Ask us any questions. Remember, they don't have to be league related. I did ask where you keep your ketchup in the fridge or the cupboard. Also asked you about how you put your socks and shoes on in the morning. So, you know, kind of hit us up with
I feel like the socks and shoes was a much more definitive one.
I mean, going forward from the socks question, because we can elaborate on that just a little bit.
Okay.
When you're putting your trousers on, is it socks first or trousers first?
I'm a trousers first.
I'm trousers first,
Yeah. Even if you're wearing like really tight, skinny trousers, where the socks, pulling the socks up is like.
I mean, I'm not 16 anymore, so I don't.
I mean, how far are you planning on pulling the socks up under your trousers?
I mean, it depends on the socks, right?
Are you wearing stockings?
I mean, I don't feel the need to answer that question.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
You're in shorts. Okay. I can see you're not wearing stockings right now.
Yeah.
Right now? We're talking about when he's wearing tight trousers.
That was the question.
Okay.
Context matters.
You're an actual heathen if you wear socks before trousers.
I mean, I can kind of understand it. I just think it's dumb.
I mean, if I'm wearing tight chinos, right? If I'm wearing tight chinos, then pulling up a full-length sock is sometimes hard because you have to roll it up, and I've got thick legs. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Thick thighs.
Nothing wrong with that. Yeah. But
I mean, I hope your socks don't go up to your thighs under your trousers. No, you wear what you want, dude, but underneath your trousers, it's kind of just a waist, really, isn't it?
I mean, I really rarely kind of have to tuck my jeans, like tuck socks into jeans. I feel like I've never worn something that tight.
There you go. Maybe just
you wear leggings.
You know, maybe just to wear the right size clothes is.
Yes, I think we're establishing that. I think you don't need to put your socks on first if you wear clothes that fit you.
Well, you know who does have to put their socks on? It's either Twitter randoms or DIABOLUS. See if they can get on walking towards a victory here. It's game 3 as we jump onto the Rift. Who will be proceeding?
See, I was like ready for like a pull themselves up by their bootstraps kind of idea. I thought you'd kind of translate it that way, and there's an actual saying involving that. I feel like putting your socks on doesn't sound as motivational, but I mean, maybe. Maybe it's all part of the setting up process for a better game.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Definitely. But, you know, questions have been raised about DIABOLUS from this series. You know, there's definitely been weaknesses in the armors, cracks in the armor that has been shown off here. So, a lot of things that some teams can take away from this.
Let's hope they pick Nidalee, is what I've taken away. Or Talon with Smite. But, I don't know. I think a lot of that was Skedden played it really well. He's now back in his Trundle. Can he show up on his... can the whole team show up on their Comfort Champions?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of comfort for Twitter randoms.
Literally the only thing that's not their staple pick is Orianna, and it's still in his top 3.
It's still something they play a lot as well, so, you know, it's still in there. Does lend itself quite nicely towards these team fights. Does give you a lot of burst damage, especially paired that up with the Tristana as well. Is always something they can work around as... Again, the Lucian Braum just is so potent in lane, and we've seen this 3 times in a row now from Twitter randoms where they actually just pick a losing bot lane.
Yeah.
But in the game 1, they played around top side to compensate for that. I want to see that this time, because obviously your bot is not going to win. I mean, even if you come in with a gank and you get yourself 2 kills onto the Tristana, it doesn't fully alleviate the pressure. However, if you do this and go topside and burn Fluxish's health, I didn't quite get the flash, but burn his health bar, that's pretty big.
I mean, yes, but you've traded already most of Camille's health bar in response, so not exactly ideal. And now Graves knows exactly where you are and can respond in kind. Has actually just come to his top side. Might fight him over Scuttle.
Could go for that trade. Obviously,
yeah, here it is.
Looking to try and get that down. The smite comes out. I didn't actually see who got that. Skedden actually is going to place down the pillar. Forces the flash, and NG just chases him away. That's very, very big for DIABOLUS.
You can actually see it went over to NG because his mana bar just refilled immediately as soon as he got it.
Yeah.
So, nice little extra XP for him. He hasn't even taken his blue buff yet. But he's going to cross the whole way back across the map so he can make sure he gets both scuttles.
Only Angel needs the base now. Like, he just lost so much health to that early trade.
The invade, though. I'm really watching this because Skedden just blew his flash.
Yep, does have red buff as well, and it looks like he actually is chasing him in. That is going to be the smite coming out from Skedden to heal him up, but the flash over the wall by NG. First blood picked up for DIABOLUS.
Really solid aggressive play there. You force the flash at the Scuttle Crab. From there, you're then able to go for the invade, knowing that he'll want to get onto his blue buff, spotting that he, of course, didn't have it near the start. And nice pickup for there, and he actually just going to clear out the whole bot side, knowing that you have massive bot lane priority. Tristana Janna can't come respond.
Only Angel was forced out of lane very, very early, and is forced to use his rejuvenation bead. So that's pretty unlucky for him. An unlucky start. Obviously, will be able to get a bit of HP up, but that's all he's going to be able to get out of that.
Yeah, I mean, at least it gets him closer to Tiamat, right?
Yeah.
It's not nothing. It's just, for now, the stats are very minimal. Not going to be noticed a huge amount. And I think the big thing for me, though, is that NG has just taken complete control of the jungle, is literally triple the enemy CS right now.
Yeah, that's very, very big. And with the first blood, massive lead. Skedden last time really was the kind of catalyst for one top side for Twitter Randoms. This time, him now being behind is very, very big. Concussive blows are there. They're going to flash forward with that ignite. That's going to be the rocket jump out from Tristana, running very, very low. Now they're just looking to try and get the stun onto Janna. Twitter Randoms just completely overcommit for the fight in the bot side. They could have just walked away.
Yeah, they needed to run straight away. I mean, like, that lane loses every time early.
Like,
there is just no two ways about that.
If you watch that play again, Tristana, with the concussive blows, with one left, just walked into them. Just completely, like, randomly, instead of just continue to walk away.
But CS.
But it was to auto-attack Amphorax, who was full HP.
Getting that free footwork proc.
Very,
Want to maximize your heals.
And Angel having a pretty hard time in this top side. And that will continue for quite a while.
Potentially the whole game, if they don't manage to scale up.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a big wave to work with. Obviously, with his Q, will obviously give himself a little bit of an extra shield versus Flaxish. In comes NG, though, maybe looking to get a bit of some damage down. Hook shots there. They even get the Q against the wall. A lot of burst onto Only Angel, forces him low.
And here was what we were expecting from DIABOLUS a lot more. You have the Zeph NG roams. I think part of this is, look, NG got a massive control over the enemy jungle in the early game. You now have Zeph with good push, going to be able to keep going forward in that regard. And nice and simple. Wasn't quite able to force it because Camille is relatively safe, but still gets an advantage top lane because it's going to be Camille forced to back again.
Yeah, it doesn't have teleport as well, so that's very, very big for him. See what he's going to be able to pick up on this base. Hopefully it's a Tiamat for him, otherwise he's going to have an even harder laning phase until he's able to pick that item up. And unfortunately for him, it's just going to be the double longsword site.
Yeah.
Still a bit of a ways off.
And you can see the best way to punish a TP is that you either push the wave really hard, try to get on the tower, or just freeze it right back into you. You force them to walk all the way up, and all your own minions are dying, so they're getting none of that XP and gold.
And it's hard for any Angel to reset that without the Tiamat as well. Like, if you have the Tiamat, you can reset that push pretty easily. But it's going to be ever so slower and puts him in a compromising position while that's happening. Flaxish has level 6 now, so he does have the sadism available to him. And Only Angel not quite there yet, as this time Twisted Fate reads that play and hops out. Looks like Only Angel should be able to reset this push nice and easy with one tactical sweep.
Yeah. I mean, the wave's in a really awkward spot for him right now. It's frozen very far forward. And even though Camille is the hookshot and is relatively safe, you still don't feel particularly comfortable as Only Angel. As if Graves happens to show up, you're just dead in that regard, which is why they've got all those wards down in the river.
Well, he got a pretty decent trade, but you got to keep in mind Flaxish does have that sadism, so always makes it quite hard for him to do so. As Infernal Drake is up on the map, and we're seeing one deep ward placed inside the jungle.
Deep ward. One ward in the enemy jungle, I'll call it.
Deeper than any ward that was placed in the last game by Twitter Randoms.
I'm not sure if that's a comment on last game more so than it is on this one, but fair enough.
Oh.
Well, hey, I'm mobile, by the way.
Yeah, I think that was maybe a little bit of a misclick by him, but we'll let mistakes be mistakes. NG able to solo out that Infernal Drake as well.
And that's so nice. When you have this early jungle control, when you get a really good Drake in the early game, you're on Graves, pick it up for yourself, nice and easy.
It's like it's been a bit of a slower start to this third game. Both of the teams knowing how much is on the line, as Only Angel does actually aggress onto Flaxish, forces out the sadism, but got to keep in mind Skedden was also on his way up. Sadism now down and Subjugate available. Could go for the pillar. Looking to go forward as they're actually looking for a play in the bot side. Safnor is going to get stunned up and locked down. Cookie gets the kill. Flaxish goes golden though, and Only Angel is there. They're going to force the flash out, and they're still chasing for more. Here comes NG. He gets the kill and the collateral damage, and Skedden with a shield on top. Here comes Zeref. They're actually chasing for more. Flaxish is able to get the kill. The root comes down. That's going to be one onto Bendix, but he is on the run. A two-man Shockwave has the shield as Zef now trying to get the chase. Is going to get slowed up. The tower shot's coming down. That would not be enough to get the kill.
Are you kidding me? So close there to getting the kill turned around, but even then, really nicely played by Diabolus, getting the roam up, and I liked what Twitter Randoms were trying to do there. You had the Camille Trundle in response. You wanted to see if you could get the Mundo as soon as that sadism finished, but just too tanky to take him out. And NG was already on the way, realizing that's what the play they're going for.
That's a completely different play without the stopwatch as well. But unfortunately, they did have that. And Diabolus, I say unfortunately, Diabolus just punished that so well and played that in just perfectly. Good roaming from both Zef and NG. Saves the TP on the rise as well. Actually, just uses his Realm Warp to make his way up there. And keep in mind, that's only a level 1 Realm Warp, so the range isn't inherently high. Just gets a good roam.
Yeah, I think that was the big thing. Orianna was technically first on the roam, but because of how deep the play was, they were effectively looking for a dive. It was Ryze who managed to get in there much easier and actually into the lane first.
Great bot lane duo as well coming through from Diabolus. You're seeing Cookie and Amphirax definitely really settling in, and every game they've played today, they've actually been playing very well. As Only Angel actually trying to take a 1v1 versus Flaxish, but Flaxish, he does a serious amount of damage.
Yep.
Hookshot will bail him out, but that is going to be another cleaver. The sadism's pocked, and Only Angel needs to use something to stay alive. Doesn't do so, and unfortunately, he does go down. Had the ultimatum, so he could have been able to dodge out a little bit of damage to get maybe a reset. As in comes Skedden, throws down the pillar. Glacial Fish is there, and they're going to stun him up. In comes forward as Twisted Fate's able to pick himself up. 1 kill. NG now chasing for more concussive blows. Are going to stack up, but bail him out in time. Twitter Randoms answer back in the bot lane.
Okay, I mean, I'm glad that Skedden eventually visited bot lane, because we've seen them lose pretty hard most of the games because of the lanes they chose. Not that they're necessarily playing them badly, but at the same time, the biggest issue here is that you have a lane that's constantly pushing in. You should try punish that as a jungler if you think you can get that in 3v2. So let's have a quick look at this dive. This is from a little while back. They tried to go for Flaxus. As you said, that stopwatch was really the key. It forced them to dive for way longer than they wanted to. And then NG comes in with a really nice combo. And while Bendix was in the lane first, Zef has the more important roam here, as Bendix hasn't really been in range to get much off.
That is dirty damage from Flaxish. Bendix did pretty good with the Shockwave here. Did almost keep himself alive.
Look at the range of that.
I can't believe this tower doesn't go through. He was so close to actually staying in for that second shot and maybe giving a double kill over to Bendix, but unfortunately not the case for him. And Diabolus, like I said, just played out very well. We're now 11 minutes in. It's 19,000 gold to 17,000 gold. Diabolus definitely in control of the gold league. Got that Infernal Drake as well. Rift Herald is available and warded up by Twitter Random, so they can see if that happens. As Only Angel just can't 1v1 this guy anymore.
No, Rift Herald should be your next focus. It allows you to snowball the game quicker. You have jungle control. Makes the most sense. The pit also opens to your side on blue side, so it's a lot easier to force them to play around how you want to play it. So you're just going to see Graves solo it here and no actual contest.
Stormrazor has actually been finished up on EU Twisted Fate now. Blade the Rune King not finished on Cookie yet. So he does actually have a kind of a one-item spike. Does want to get a little bit more under his belt, i.e. probably that rapid fire cannon, as Zeph looks for the play. Is going to be denied it for the moment, as Only Angel can't really contest the Rift Herald, as it does fall down to the side of Diabolus.
Okay. So they pick up the Rift Herald. That's now on NG. He can use that in pretty much any of the lanes. I think if you want to quickly snowball this game, you just go bot with it, because you already have a winning lane bot. You can quickly take that tower. However, if you want to maximize the efficiency of it, you're probably going to get that bot tower anyway. Maybe put a mid lane, which is always the hardest tower to crack when you can, and then force a dive towards the top side.
Zeph just did a lot of damage to Bendix. With all that magic bouncing around between the minions and the robot lady, as it looks like actually Skin looking for a play onto Amphorax. In comes the rest of the team, but it looks like the collapse is starting to come through from Diabolus. Glacial Fisher goes a little bit wide and will stop the play. Mountain Drake spawning in 30 seconds, however. Maybe we're going to see a bit of some attention come through from both of these teams, as Flaxish been pretty consistent with these infected cleavers, landing them one after the other on Only Angel, chunking him down very, very low as Rift Herald gets summoned in the mid. This means they can actually look for that play. As actually, Twisted Fate's going in forward. They're trying to throw down the culling as Amphorax taking a lot of damage. A great pillar will secure them the kill as a Realm Wolf's now coming through. Bendix could go in. 2-man. Cleanse comes out from Bendix. He doesn't have that ultimate, and Zeph is able to solo him out and pick up the kill with the Rift Herald. This will be 2 turrets mid.
Yeah, and that's a nice response, and while Lucian is still alive in the bot lane, it's actually really hard for Tristana Janet to force. You need to keep Trundle there, which just gives them even more time with that Rift Herald. And you can see he was actually questioning it, whether he wanted to stay or back. Yeah. Sees that Lucian backs off, so he does as well.
They get themselves 3 turrets in mid. Well, sorry, no, they get 3 charges
That's top tower too.
Mid. They are going to be able to get themselves a top tower, and this will be the 3rd turret for Diabolus. Looks like Twitter Randoms, with this aggression they've been placing down in the bot lane, are going to be able to drop themselves down 1 turret in response, which slowly brings back a bit of the gold lead, but it's still 4,000 over to Diabolus.
Yeah, I mean, it's a 4k gold lead at 14 minutes. You are going to have a rough time.
Yeah.
And you're also playing into a team that spikes better in the mid game. There's a whole heap of things Diabolus can do, but all Twitter Randoms want to do is shut down those plays. They want to be like, we're going to dodge them, we're going to avoid them. Very difficult, to be honest, while Diabolus have the run on the map, especially in the jungle 1v1. So once you have that jungle 1v1 in mid-roam, it's kind of hard to avoid plays, because they could just force 4 men onto a tower.
And if you are Twitter Randoms, one thing you can take away from this is the 3 kills you've picked up, 2 of which are onto your AD carry who wants to scale, so getting them the items in nice and early is good. And also, the other one is onto Bendix on the Orianna, so 2 of your primary damage dealers have these kills, but Diabolus, they don't care about your kills. They care about the objectives. They've got an Infernal. Now they're going to pick themselves up a mountain, and these objectives are going to crumble even faster to them.
Yeah. I mean, they got all the dragons. They've got the massive tower advantage. This should be a quick, as I was saying, force 4-man bot for that tower. If they have to 4v4, they likely win it, unless they go for a way over aggressive dive.
You have to be a little bit careful with the Monsoon, though, so there is a bit of disengage, and you know, there's a lot of damage on the Tristana now with that Zeal in the pocket, looking to build towards that rapid fire cannon. Only Angel, though, this is the person I want to focus on. He had such a good game 1, looks so clean, and since then it's not been so good for him, as NG has actually found out Skedden, but just using this chance to get a little bit of a bite onto the Graves and just trade out some vision. But we are seeing Twitter Randoms back off for the moment, as
they have to. I mean, if they stay there, they just lose that 3v3 so hard. They have to back off, and it's going to be another tower going over. Clean play from Diabolus is the kind of map play you expect from a team of this caliber.
Bit of a chase is coming through, looking for those infected cleavers. Do have a great pillar. Can throw down the Hextech up with an ultimatum. As in goes Only Angel. Flaxis just falls down, and he is shut out by the Tristana. EU Twisted Fate playing very well, but the cost is they lose the turret bot side, and they're going to lose a lot of damage on a turret. There's tier 2 bot side as well. Do still have that shockwave available.
And actually forced out the Tristana TP as well to go farm on the top side. So overall, I mean, Diabolus, yes, they lost 1 member. And the Flash of Mundo is also the most unfortunate thing about that play for them. But I think they're still happy. They're still winning on objectives. Twitter randoms are doing what they can, which is just try find picks at this point. But I think that's fine. I think Diabolus will still have large control of this game. So let's have a look. I like that they actually kept speeding up Skedden and eventually got him in range for the pillar. That was pretty nice.
This ultimatum is the longest ultimatum I've ever seen.
Yeah,
it's
actually
hurling
really,
at him.
Yeah, it's a really fun interaction where if you ult, doesn't matter what mobility they use after it.
Yeah,
once
you
you land,
follow
you
them
just
the
send
whole
it
way.
on them. Yep.
We did see also Twisted Fate go very, very aggressive on the Tristana, so stepping forward, able to pick that kill up. He hasn't actually based yet since getting that kill, so this should be his rapid fire cannon. I don't expect to see a static shiv on him.
No, I don't think he needs the wave clear that much. It's more that he just needs outright damage,
Yeah.
and the only way he's getting damage off with the teams this far ahead is being able to reach them with the likes of a rapid fire. Could technically go Renan's, but I feel like he just lacks the early range in the mid game.
Yeah.
He just needs something to allow him to get any
Obviously,
damage off.
Also with the Storm Razor passive, it just means he gets a lot more poke he can apply with that as well, which is nice for him. Probably with the Infinity Edge then after that, so he hits that 60% crit, doing that true damage from the crits as well, and that's when Tristana starts to come into stride. And if we do see those 3 items get picked up by EU Twisted Fate on the Tristana, at that point Diabolus do start to worry, depending on how much they've taken between then and the 3 items.
I mean, in fairness to him, we were saying, okay, they have a massively losing lane, and like Braum Lucian have been easily able to push in. He's 3-0.
Yeah, there was a point where that losing lane went very weird, and it's actually going to be this static shiv picked up by EU Twisted Fate. Literally just based and bought that.
I think the idea here is he's decided that he'd rather hard commit for the wave clear, just in case. I mean, it's fine. It's a safe pick, but it means that they can't really make plays yet.
It does buy time. It does add to burst as well, which is always quite nice for him, as you are seeing him just basically one-shotting the waves for the moment. But it does. I feel like it does slow down the power spike, just marginally.
I mean, if they can actually get fights, it's fine. It doesn't change the spike much. But I'm very skeptical of if they'll find those fights. I hope they do. I think even if this game doesn't go their way, I think Twitter randoms have had what I think is fair to call a surprisingly good showing.
Yeah, held up very, very well. But unfortunately, speaking of people who've had not so good showings, in this game, Only Angel has been struggling versus the Mundo, and this is why we've seen Mundo as such high priority in picks and bans for so many different teams for such a long time now.
Yeah, I mean, he's pretty standard. He just kind of walks at you, throws cleavers, throws the E down. He's a lot of damage, and he can be fun when ahead. He does kind of run around, just act a general nuisance. But certainly his actual strength is just he could out split push, just straight up out duel you without really having to think about it.
While also being a tanky monster. No Executioner's Callings picked up at all. No Morella, Nomicons, nothing to really actually deal with Flaxus' healing. And as we're hitting this 20-minute mark, you know, he's level 13, so he has that 2nd rank in his ultimate. Like, he's actually kind of a problem.
Oh, for sure. But I think he's just one of many problems is their biggest issue right now. They need to build a lot of items. The Morella Nomicon is, I expect, what Oriana's building towards. Just gone for the blasting one first.
Yeah, I assume that'll be an Oblivion Orb to follow.
Yeah.
It's typically a good 2nd item, especially paired up with that Luden's Echo.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's a fairly standard build at this point. You go your mana item into Morello into Rabadon's.
Yeah.
And I don't expect that to change here.
Well, Only Angel just trying to catch more and more waves. Has that Triforce now finished up? Has got that Tiamat. So Titanic Hydra comes alive. If he does pick up an Executioner's Calling, it suddenly becomes a little bit harder for Flaxish to duel him.
Scissor Legs just seem like they lack any form of utility. I just feel like they'd be more awkward than useful.
I mean, Camille makes it work. She is an assassin, so I suppose she can do haircuts on the side as well.
I mean, it's really obvious she's an assassin. How does she go outside and people don't immediately realize, hey, you're probably that assassin?
Yeah.
You have giant blades for legs.
Not really got any practical use outside of that. Like, you're not going to get on the shots.
Like, surely you could just get, like, blade shoes, right? Have feet.
I mean, James Bond had it.
Blade legs or blade shoes?
He had shoes with a dagger in.
Yeah, I mean, even the Joker had it back in the Dark Knight.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's a pretty basic thing.
Camille
but
just
Camille
out, dude.
has all this magic, all this technology, and has yet to figure that out.
Oh, I cut my legs off for what? I don't actually know if she cut her own legs off, actually.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that hard to model feet, right?
Yeah. I mean, maybe she has, like, legs she uses when she's not, like, murdering people.
That would make so much more sense.
Yeah, I feel like she doesn't
They didn't show it in the comic, and that's what's
I'm
throwing
sure
me.
she doesn't go down to the local co-op to buy a pot noodles with her scissor legs on.
Yeah.
Well, having a bit of a trade versus Flaxish, whose pots that sadism. That's going to be the ultimate by Only Angel. Now he just needs to dodge and let the tower do its work. Flaxish does actually come out pretty worse for wear after that. Only Angel engages in, but another big chunk of healing forces the flash. And Only Angel questions his mistake there.
Runs away in those scissor legs.
Yeah.
Get the hell out of there.
How could you run with scissor legs? Like, do you run faster?
Running with scissors has always been a bad idea. And it doesn't change here.
Surely you used to get stuck in the ground. Like, the more speed and the more power you got between your jump, like, you're running, like, surely you're going to get stuck to, like, a muddy ground. Because Summoner's Rift isn't, like, cobble. It's...
But, I mean, like, it would be more like wearing cleats. It's actually better for muddy ground. The bigger issue is when you're just walking on normal ground. You're just
So she's good
awkward.
at football.
Sorry?
Except she burst the ball. I say she'd be good at football, except she burst the ball.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do our blades have a rounded edge? It's hard
I feel
to say.
like this is something you need to ask the right design team.
Yeah.
Let's focus on the game. We have tunneled on Camille's legs for quite a while here. 23 minutes in, Infernal Drake, 2 Mountain Drakes. This Baron Nashor will go down very, very quickly to the Diabolus roster. And Twitter Randoms, recognizing that, are spending a lot of resources around this top side of the map. Do just want to try and make sure that's not going to happen.
I mean, you can see that. You'd even seen the Orianna bought 3 pink wards, now back down to 1, because they're obviously just being cleared out, because Diabolus have the map control. They're able to walk forward and go clear them anytime they're put down, and the Baron control still very heavily in their favor. You see, there's another control ward, free to clear it.
Only Angel's picked himself up a Jaggerim's Fist. Like, it's 800 gold for an Executioner's Calling. Now, it's such a big difference versus Mundo. And I get that he wants to get Hysterics or his, that won't be Hysterics, so his Titanic as soon as possible, but just the 800 gold investment changes you having to burn a flash underneath your own turret because you hard lost a trade to, hey, I can actually trade this guy and it's not the end of the world.
I mean, even still, Mundo heals so much regardless of grievous wounds. I know you couldn't have. Anyway, let's come back to the Baron. That's a much more important call here. And Diabolus maintain full control of it, and Zeph's in here now as well. I
mean, they are using a lot. Looks like Zeph is going to try and burst a bit of damage out. There is a subjugate to work through, and that is someone who can cut through Flaxish. She's going to be the Tristana. Turret's going to go down. Sorry, Baron even's going to go down as the Shockwave pulls in 4 members. In comes Only Angel as he cuts them down. Left, right, and center. EU Twisted Fate now with the resets, with the damage, trying to cut them down, but he turns it out. In goes Only Angel. The damage is absolutely massive, and in is the teleport. Going to be Flaxish trying to pump that damage out as Only Angel, this time with the help of a Tristana, trying to cut through them as Cookie now is getting the culling down, is starting to cut through them. It's not going to be enough. Baron gets picked up by Diabolus, but the team fight win for Twitter Randoms.
That was so close. I was actually waiting there at the end. I was hoping Bendix would just run forward and try to finish him off. But, I mean, they lost 4 Barons there. That was really, really good from Twitter Randoms. I mean, it's the best you can hope for.
That was actually horrible. Like, I was not expecting that.
Okay, so let's have a look at this. They start by chunking out Flaxish at the very start of this fight, because he's obviously distracting them from the Baron, so they secure that Baron. Good Shockwave, gets a lot of damage down very quickly, and now they're running. So Hextech Ultimatum guarantees them a kill. And EU Twisted Fate managed to jump forward here. Now I thought he'd get the resets, and then just... Monsoon was trying to help him, but he's just gone.
Like, the Monsoon was starting as well, so it wasn't even like at max Monsoon mode. Like,
yeah, but in fairness, they managed to get themselves another pick again because Only Angel can continue the chase. They got out Flaxish, so a second kill there. And just short in that E-range, if that had hit, that would be their Baron gone.
Yeah, I mean, only other thing to really hit is the Morella Nomicon was pretty big. Just going back to my point about grievous wounds, very, very big for them to cut through Flaxish.
You're talking about Tristana's 3-item spike. I am actually surprised she's gotten there so soon.
Yeah, damn.
But I guess after that fight, you got a lot of shutdowns.
Yeah.
So, a lot of gold coming in. Potentially going for another Zeal item here.
And this is when it gets very scary for Diabolus. Yes, they have still one running around with the Baron buff, but you can't now use it to split push your side lanes, so there's only one lane you have to worry about. They're also pushing into a lane with a static shift, so now we're seeing actually the payoff of building that wave clear item for the side of Diabolus. Not Diabolus, sorry.
Okay, here it is.
They're actually chasing in. Gonna deliver 2 members in. Bendix just gets instantly cut down by Cookie. He just deletes him.
That was a mistake from Twitter Round. They shouldn't have sent Bendix up to a tower that was 1 hit.
Yeah.
That was always going to be a mistake, and he ends up getting punished for it.
Well,
they're trying to push it to the other side, though.
They are just going to cut through Flaxish. The turret goes down, and Flaxish is healing up, trying to take himself up onto more. Twisted Fate's very, very low. Stun's there, and it looks like actually Only Angel is going to try and be able to pick this kill up, but Flaxish just cannot stop getting healed. This is a monster. The rest of the team are taking down the base. They managed to take themselves all of the turrets. Nexus is laid bare. Twisted Fate cuts through them, and he is taken down. Nexus falls at 27 minutes, and Diabolus backdoor Twitter Randoms.
Yeah, but they killed Mundo.
Did they kill Mundo?
Yeah, just at the end.
Did they actually kill Mundo?
finally killed
I don't
Mundo.
think they killed Mundo. It's not a fact. Fake news. Diabolus, what the heck?
We'll see in the replay.
That was...
They got backdoored. That's what happens, mate.
I mean, it wasn't a backdoor. Oh, I guess it was, but it was like...
It was a backdoor.
It was in the sense that they had people there. Bendix dies, and they go, guys, Mundo's top lane.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we got picked in the bot lane. How about we try and make a quick pick top? So
Yeah,
neither of us
power
have built
spike.
Grievous Wounds.
800 gold, by the way.
This will go well.
800 gold, by the way.
That game would have been so different if he just built a flaming Executioner's cooling. Entirely different.
I will say, I don't actually think a lot would have changed. I still think he still loses the trades even with an Executioner's calling.
I'm going to be very stubborn on this
maybe
point.
we can look at some replays and see if Flaxish would have died. This was beautiful. Great usage of the... oh, it's not this. Yeah. Oh, it is this. You can see the roams coming.
Yeah. Good stopwatch. You've got Skedden also hanging around. Has that
they think they've got
subjugate,
the pick.
but they use the subjugate like when they have no ability to actually get the damage onto him.
Yeah.
So like Flaxish just gets time to reposition, goes golden, even uses the flash. Like he stays alive for so long and completely catches Skedden off guard. Collateral damage is able to pick the kill up, and like Skedden at this point just goes, "This is the easiest Mundo kill of my life." And actually Flaxish goes, "No, this is the easiest troll kill of my life."
I mean, one of the points that we didn't really talk about when this actually happened was the fact that you don't make plays across the map. You just don't, generally. If something's happening on the bot side, on the top side, don't be trying to fight on the bot side. And that's exactly what Twitter Randoms tried to do. There was a very obvious attempt by Bendix, by the Trundle, to move in and gank Flaxish. Yeah. And whilst that was happening, we saw EU Twisted Fate initiate a team fight. Yeah. It was just really poor timing. Not to mention, so far throughout this series, Diabolus' bot lane Cookie and Amphrix have held their own every single time. And they held their own. Zeph, NG, timely roam, and far more impactful than their counterparts were able to do. It was just really good play coming out of Diabolus to be able to essentially take wins in the top, mid, and bot lane all at the same time.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, that game, I'm still trying to process what happened because...
like Twitter Randoms
it was
yeah,
good.
I mean, I processed
that
that much of the information, but it was very much like Twitter Randoms actually hit a point where I was like, oh, they can bring this back. And you know, you had the free item Tristana spike, and you're like, this is very big. And then they decide to inject that resource into a very questionable place.
I mean, this is the moment where you start to realize that this game isn't over for Twitter Randoms. A little bit of split focus. Flaxish isn't able to really have the impact he wants and is forced away from the team fight. And then a great Orianna ult. I mean, the moment when EU Twisted Fate jumped forward, I had to hold back the giggle inside me because it just reminds me of every time double lift plays Tristana.
Oh,
it's just like, what
that was a
happened to him?
non-empowered Q, by the way. That was just as like straight up Q, like half health to Tristana.
Absolutely.
What items did he have at that point?
I mean, he's so far ahead.
Yeah. I mean, clearly.
Yeah, it's somewhat to be expected, but at the same time, it was so much damage so quickly.
I think if only Angel had landed that stun as well, like that was so, like, you were right. It was like a hair's breadth away from connecting that hook shot, and they would have lost Baron. They wouldn't have been able to take the base. Like, there was a lot.
Because the big thing is,
like, a lot of could have happened there.
Right.
And yes, Diabolus played very well. They were very in that final section of the game, they were very much like, we're going for this. Yep. We recognize where our strong there. For some reason, diving Flaxish, the rest of the team go, perfect, we'll win the game. And Diabolus just pulled a trigger. Like, they played that very, very well. But
off the back of that, it's just straight back down to the bot lane.
Yeah.
Where, you know, Flaxish has been split pushing the entire game against the Camille, and this catch onto Bendix. Like you mentioned in the broadcast, what is Bendix doing bot lane when the turret is literally one hit? The Realm Warp catches him out, and then I guess Twitter Randoms say we have to make a pick on the other side of the map, except it's Mundo, and it's
and neither
Mundo that's level 16 as well. And no one responds to the push in the bot lane.
Baron as
they
well.
take the tower, the tier 2 tower, then they take the inhibitor tower, then they take the inhibitor, and by the time they're attacking the Nexus tower, we see EU Twisted Fate decide to recall
They kill
back.
Mundo.
Oh, they
did get him.
Yeah.
The facts don't lie.
Yeah, but EU Twisted Fate turns up at the end. Like, if he was there to actually help them, like, deal with the team, with the Orianna was down, but, like, you know, there was so much they could have done, but it felt like
was just a
very
towards
questionable decision making.
I mean, the thing is, Twitter Randoms, well within their chances there to win the game. The signs were there, and that's a really important thing for them.
That's the key thing, yes.
Absolutely. Against the #1 team so far in the Forge of Champions, they took them to a 3-game series, and they almost looked like they were going to beat them. That's far more than Misfits were able to do last week. That's far more than Wind and Rain were able to do last week. In the best of 5, it was a 3-0 made look easy by Diabolus.
Weaknesses were exposed, I think, there, completely. What I do think is maybe don't camp Flaxish, because clearly it didn't work out, but maybe if you have a kind of better duo of it. Game 1 is a completely separate matter. You know, he was on the Ornn, it was a lot more easy to kill. Game 2, he just 1v1'd Only Angel all game long. And game 2, it was pretty much, he was just 1v2'd Only Angel and Skedden all game long.
If you're a stronger team, what you do is you go, okay, so if we don't give them prio bot, it's likely they go back to constantly ganking Flaxish, and as we saw in game 1, that's a very counterable strategy. You can go up there and counter gank it, and suddenly they force a lot forward. You're able to quickly clean that up. I think Trundle is actually a really good pick for that, so something similar would actually be quite nice.
I think Skedden's Trundle throughout the series was pretty strong. I mean, there was a couple plays there where he literally made Glacial Fissures miss with his pillars, which was just really impressive. Any time that the Brom went for it, knocked him back just half an inch, and you know, the team walks away from it. And it looks like a bad Glacial Fissure. What you don't see is the Trundle pillar coming up underneath.
I mean,
Skedden, beautiful stuff.
Skedden's always been a very consistent Trundle. Back when he used to play on Hyperion, it was a pick they often picked for him. Plays into his playstyle really well. So I'm very like happy to see how well Twitter Randoms played today. I'd like to see more from them.
Well, we will hopefully see more from them later on in the Forge of Champions. Let's have a quick look at the bracket, see how things have shaped up after our 2 quarterfinals today. XL with the 2-0 over M&M Gaming, and Diabolus finalizing that series with a 2-1 means that they will be our semi-finalists next week when we do return with the Forge of Champions semi-finals. But it's not all over yet, because tomorrow we have a couple more quarterfinals to be played. And as you can see them, they are up there on the bracket. Misfits Academy, Enclave Gaming, Digital Warfare, and Hyperion Esports.
Yeah, I'm going to be pretty excited about the Misfits Enclave game. Misfits obviously arguably the strongest team from the UK scene, current like champions of the UK, so to speak. They had a bit of an upset versus Diabolus, you know. Didn't particularly get the showing. I mean, Diabolus played very well, and it's a very good stacked roster by Diabolus, but you expect more. You expected that to at least go to 3, and whoever won that game. Oh, did it go to 3? Sorry, I thought it was a 2-0.
Misfits won game 1, and
this is what I get for going to Australia and not paying attention to the scene. I would like to see whether or not we can actually have this redemption for Misfits, because you know they've got arguably the best bot lane in the UK scene at the moment. Just really good overall teams, and Enclave are a team who surprised everyone last split, coming 3rd in the group, making it to European Masters. Didn't get through the play-in stage, unfortunately, but a very surprising team, a very surprising showing. It's a very different roster from them, though.
I mean, last week it was Enclave versus Diabolus. Rift looked pretty good when he played Darius. When he was on the tank, not so much, so it just wasn't enough to take out the roster of Diabolus. You know, if we were to take last week's results and apply them to this week, you would consider that maybe Enclave had a better chance against Misfits than they did against Diabolus. But weeks past, you look at your mistakes, you rectify them. XL have showcased that very well. I'm really looking forward to tomorrow, specifically for that matchup. But like mentioned, Digital Warfare coming through. They take the forfeited win, I suppose you could say, over Wind and Rain, as well as Hyperion, who we didn't get to see last week either because I believe they lost to either Phelan
I think it was Phelan.
or Super Duper Giant Truck Team. It was one of the two. Yeah, it was Phelan actually because Super Duper Giant Truck Team definitely beat Barrage.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want more information on Forge of Champions, make sure you head on over to the website. forgeofchampions.com is it. You can get all the updated scores so far of these different scoring tournaments that we have, as well as get your team signed up for the 3rd open bracket tournament, if that's something you are interested in. Of course, if you want to go recap some of these VODs, you can head on over to the YouTube channel as well, which is youtube.com/LVP. Our social media, Twitter account, I should say, is at LVPUK. Make sure you head on over there and, you know, talk about all the things that you like to talk about when you're in Twitch chat, as well as use the hashtag ForgeOfChampions2 if you want to continue this conversation after the broadcast. Tomorrow, we will be back at 6 p.m. as always, so make sure you do jump on in and tune in. Diabolus versus Enclave, I believe, will be first up. I mean, do we have a match schedule? I think we probably do have a match schedule bracket to bring up. If we do, this is a soft hint to production to either tell me, Dowsy, you're just really bad at hosting, or, hey, here's the match schedule.
Why not both?
Both.
Well, there you go.
There we go. Perfect. It is going to be Digital Warfare versus Hyperion up first, followed by Misfits Academy versus Enclave. So that's actually really fun. We get to showcase 2 teams that we haven't seen so far in the Forge of Champions, and then we get to finish it off with a beastly matchup. Diabolus versus Diabolus.
Enclave versus
Enclave.
Misfits,
Yeah. Looking forward to
You're
it.
just very prepared for the Diabolus Enclave matchup again.
I just really wanted it. Yeah, it's a good rivalry, good storyline.
Either way, I think this will still be a really good game, so I'm looking forward to that tomorrow.
You're just tired, it's okay, dude, don't worry. So, did you check the Twitter, by the way?
I didn't know. I mean,
we'll have to...
We can have a look if you
want.
want.
We'll have to have a look tomorrow, yeah.
We'll definitely, if you ask questions tonight, we will definitely field them tomorrow.
Debate. We're just going to continue asking you to send us random questions, which Jake will like read in his hotel room and chuckle about, then forget, and then we'll...
I think we'll definitely field... I want to field them tomorrow. I mean, we can open the day with it.
Yeah, we'll have a little chat about them.
Alright, well, you heard it here, folks. If you want to get random questions thrown at us so that we can answer them on broadcast, hashtag ForgeChampions2. We'll be back at 6 p.m. tomorrow for the 2nd set of quarterfinals of this 2nd scoring tournament. It's Forge of Champions, guys. Looking forward to it tomorrow. See you then.
See you.